Gender equality was front and center at the United Nations today as Canada hosted an international discussion, part of the global body's initiative to, quote, leave no one behind. International Development Minister Marie-Claude Bibeau told the forum there needs to be a big shift in attitudes and social norms. What are the best ways to effect that change, and how could global goals, it's Friday, such as fighting climate change be viewed through a feminist lens? Joining me now from New York is the Secretary General of the Commonwealth, Baroness Patricia Scotland. Nice to see you, Secretary General.
Nice to see you too.
So you were at this event today, an event we sponsored, Leave No One Behind, at the UN. What was the big takeaway for you from that discussion in terms of what needs to happen?
I think what we clearly understood, it's going to take absolutely every one of us. It's not just an issue for government. It's an issue for NGOs, an issue for business, an issue for individuals, for faith communities. And if we are able to work together, we can make a difference. Because the powerful message that tragically came out is that domestic violence, violence against women and girls, the inhumanity of the treatment some of our women and girls are subjected to is absolutely intolerable, and that it's not just about the Sustainable Development Goal 5, it's about all of the goals, all 17, because it's a matter of human rights, and it is something that, since women hold up half of the sky, we really need to do something about. And I came away with an increased determination to make sure that all of us within the Commonwealth commit ourselves absolutely wholeheartedly to delivering the Sustainable Development Goals, but particularly making sure women are there right at the heart of everything we do, not just Sustainable Development Goal 5.
Okay, so that's an interesting view that maybe people don't quite understand. So let's try and dig into how that would work. For instance, climate change. One of the goals of the UN is to attack climate change, of course. If you view that through, through how it affects women and gender equality, how do you put those things together? Why would that matter?
Well, what we see is when you have a climatic incident, you have to ask yourself who is most affected, who can be disproportionately affected. What do the facts tell us? And what do we find? We find that it is women and children who tend to be the most vulnerable, and they suffer more than others. When we look at poverty and you ask the question, look at the empirical data, who is disproportionately forming part of the poor? It's women and girls. When you look at who has less opportunity, that's across the world in relation to education. Again, it's women and girls. When you look at employment, who has the greatest disparity in terms of how much they're paid compared to others? It's women and girls. So it's looking at all of those issues and understanding that if we are to leave no one behind, then we have to be sensitive and focus on the disparity that is there within all those indices. And every single goal we should be asking, how does this impact on women and girls? And at the Commonwealth meeting that we had in Samoa, we absolutely committed ourselves as a Commonwealth to look at women's empowerment, women's leadership, women's ability to suffer from violence and domestic violence and other sexual forms of violence. But we also said, what are we going to do about gender and climate change? So these are things that the Commonwealth have been committed to for a number of years, and this is now a time for us to come together, to pool our understanding, to help each other, to make sure that our yesterday is not our tomorrow, and that our women and our girls have an equal and joyous opportunity to give of their best, to participate, and not to suffer disproportionately in the way in which they have historically.
So, as you know, our Prime Minister likes to talk about how he is a feminist. And I put this question to the head of the IMF, Christine Lagarde, just about a week ago, and she saw the importance of that, but herself doesn't go around calling herself a feminist. What is the advantage, or is there one, to the leader of a country like Canada calling himself a feminist when you talk about these kinds of more practical things that have to happen?
I think what it says is it signals that the Prime Minister is committed to equality. I am the daughter of the greatest feminist, I believe, that ever lived, and he taught me that I could do anything that any of my brothers could do. So having men stand up for equality, for equal treatment, is incredibly important, because this is not just an issue for women. It's an issue for every father of a daughter, every son of a mother, every brother of a sister, and every friend who has someone they care for who happens to be female. It's going to take all of us if this parity of treatment is going to be upheld. So I hope that there'll be masses of men out there who will be able to say, and I'm a feminist too, not just your PM.
So last question, it's the first debate in the United States, presidential debate on Monday. What would it mean to you if there were a female president of the United States?
Well, I think it's an amazing opportunity. Of course, I can't comment on another country's political position, but just imagine what's already happening. We have a female Prime Minister in Germany, in the United Kingdom. We have Christine Lagarde at the IMF. We have Michel Jean as Secretary General of the Francophonie. We've got Dr. Etienne in PAHO. We've got Margaret Chan at the World Health Organization. And we have Dame Meg Taylor as the Secretary General of the PIF. And of course, I have been charged as the first woman to discharge the responsibility as the Secretary General. I think it may be really interesting to see what female leadership will do for our world if we were perhaps to be joined by the UN and by America. But of course, we wait and see what the people of America decide, and indeed what happens at the UN.
All right, we'll leave it there. Secretary General of the Commonwealth, Baroness Patricia Scotland. My first time interviewing a Baroness. What a pleasure. Thank you very much.